everybody, it's been a little while. Welcome back to the next step of our L3 rocket build. As you can see, it's a little bit pieced apart right now. It reaches all the way up in the ceiling, so needed the wife's help for that. You can see the nose cone, the upper body tube shell there. And then today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be making progress on actually putting the electronics on our AV bay, okay? So I use magnetic strips, switches to turn that on from the inside or from the outside. So I have to test to make sure that, you know, where that is in the curve, like laying where the electronics, the altimeter is on the actual sled. It's enough distance for the magnet to still turn it on and off safely. And we gotta just drill holes, get it organized, get all the wires situated. Because after that, it's pretty much completed. We'll have ground testing, which will be interesting. And then all goes well, we're launching at some point soon. So aiming for October, we'll see what we get, but I'm aiming for this to be all wrapped up far before then and just be nice and easy sailing for the launch day. So hope you enjoy today. It's just gonna be a lot of small technical stuff. Thanks. Proof of concept. So they're in different orientations, which is okay. And what I had to do was I had to make sure that the actual, you can't see it because it's embedded in here, but on the power perch, there is a magnetic switch inside of here. It's a physical switch that uses a magnet to move back and forth and actually engage the battery and all the electronics. I have to be able to safely turn this on and off from the exterior, okay? Now, I'm not using physical switches, I'm using a big beefy magnet, okay? And I have to be able to do this from a distance and through the barriers of the body. So what I just did was I just finished testing, okay? And so even though I'm fighting through multiple layers of fiberglass, I put it all together to test, so the outer tube, the AV bay tube, all of that, this is with this distance and positioned with the outside switch near the outermost part, and same over here, okay? What we're able to get is that can turn on, and then I can also turn it off, okay? It turns off gradually, but everything's good to go. Now we're gonna actually do some permanent drilling. So I've laid down, there's an epoxy layer here, and then I stuck some industrial Velcro on there. This is how I normally do it in any of my AV bays. So there's some Velcro on the other side of this LiPo battery that goes straight over to the GPS module, which is all set up, and this will be sitting upright like that. So that side is completely dedicated to the GPS. As you can see, it's bolted in. And then on the other side, we have our altimeters, all right? We're gonna wire up so that we can go to the main charges for the main chute, and down below, well, can't see those. That's gonna be on the bottom end, and that already has holes for the bottom charges. On the underside of that, there's terminal buttons. So, let's get going. Man, it's hot today. I gotta watch how long I'm out here doing this. It's in Arizona. We have a heat warning today, and as you can see, it's mighty bright, mighty hot outside. But taking my time a little, because instead of having a bunch of loose wires in the AV bay that could tangle up and pull on things in force, neuroticism has its benefits. So anyway, I'm gonna keep doing this and tidy things up before we call it a day. All right, now we're all done with the wires, okay? Because of the way the redundancy is set up for this one, okay, is running a main chute deployment and a drogue chute. I have these splitters up here for easy setup and connection. And then same thing here, this altimeter is running a main chute deployment and a drogue deployment. And I've checked the voltages, everything is connected, and we are good to go. So we are gonna put in some of the recovery, well, actually all of the recovery gear. And from this point, it's pretty much gonna be ready to go for the weekend that we'll do the ground testing. But right now, here are the quick links that we're gonna be putting in. They are mighty hefty, 5/16 if I believe, steel. You can take a couple thousand pounds of force, which pretty much everything on this rocket is built to do that for a reason. I want to make sure it goes well. So anyway, in addition, here are our recovery lines. This one has 2 attach points at the bottom and 1 at the top. That's going to be for our drogue. And then this one here will be for our main parachute. The bottom one here is 40 feet long, and this one is 30 feet long, and this is 1/2 inch Kevlar. Here is our rather large parachute, C3XL, and this is right in the ballpark of what we need. Our rocket's going to be 63 pounds once it all is said and done, and this is rated up to over 70 pounds. Here's our Recon Recovery drogue. This is our 24-inch drogue. Because of the way it's shaped, it actually is going to do just fine for this big of a rocket. It's going to bring it down at about 80 to 100 feet per second before we reach about 1,000 feet. Backup is at 800 for the main, which will slow that down to about 15 feet per second. So all is good. And of course, in addition to that, I have some Recon Recovery Nomex parachute protectors. Each one is for 8-inch tubes, 30 by 30 inch. So they protect the chute from those big deployment charges. So I'm gonna lay it out and take a look. All right, it took some figuring, but I figured out how to put these in here by dividing the tension. It might pull from the side a little, but there's 2 of them, so they should hold, and it should distribute the load a little bit. And then over here, okay, the quandary here was a pretty big chute protector, but the second loop wasn't where I thought it would be, but did some work around here. So I used the second loop 3 feet further down so that that is clear from the drogue parachute while it's flying. So we should be all good and it won't get tangled up. All right, y'all. Well, I decided to not film the longer portion of folding the chute and testing it out. I know, kind of a bummer. We don't get to see just how big it is yet. But it was getting mighty hot out there today, and decided to just record the other really important part, which is folding it properly. It's hard to tell, but there's been already a pretty significant Z-fold in this. Folding all the wires in a line as needed, and then this part is the actual chute lines that extend down from the canopy, making sure that those are in a position in which they can just easily fold right out from each other when it gets pushed out of the rocket. I did something similar that I did with the drogue, where I tied a knot for the Nomex cover so that it's quite a few feet away from the actual chute itself, so it doesn't mess with the lines or tangle in any way, shape, or form. And at this point, you're just seeing me put the actual chute swivel that attaches to the literal quick link that'll be just under the nose cone and such. So I am wrapping it up here in the Novex. You can see it has good coverage. When it comes to the actual day of launch, I'll probably do this a little tighter. That way it doesn't mess with any of the air holes on the rocket. But there you go. All done. That's it for today. The next time you see us, it'll be to do injection charge testing. I've been working in a garage at 107 degrees for the last 2 hours, 3 hours? 3 hours. I'm gonna go get a drink and calm down. Have a good one.